Welcome to the Cyber Business Podcast, where we feature top founders and entrepreneurs and share their inspiring stories. Now, let's get started with the show.
Matthew Connor here, host of the Cyber Business Podcast. Today, we're joined by the CIO of Vista Clinical Labs, Nick DeMeo. Nick, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate you having me on. Real excited to have a great conversation.
Me too. Before we get to that, a quick word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by cyberlinks.com. That's cyber, Lynx.com. Do you know if a hacker's in your system? Most people and most companies don't until it's too late and the hacker's already done damage. A hacker's job is to bypass your security, so companies need a way of knowing when someone's gotten past theirs. That's where Cyberlinks comes in. We've partnered with the best cybersecurity companies in the world to be able to provide our clients with the best solutions at the best prices. So whether it's managed SIEM, SOC, EDR, MDR, XDR, you name it, we'll help you find the best solution at the best price. Find out more at cyberlinks.com. That's cyber, Lynx.com. And now back to our show. Nick, for those who aren't familiar, can you tell us about Vista Labs and your role there as CIO?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are a medical laboratory. Most people have heard of Quest or LabCorp. We're in a very similar space. We service a lot of nursing home facilities in Florida and also Virginia, North Carolina. And we also do a lot of doctor's offices. So we've been expanding our reach to opening our own individual patient service centers. And our whole mission goal is to provide premier laboratory services to as many people as we can. So to stay true to that, we have very competitive pricing because we recognize a lot of patients, they could be traveling or in and out. They may not have insurance and they have to pay out of pocket. And if they need blood work done, they may not be able to go drop $500 to get a test done. So we've been very diligent about ensuring that our prices are affordable or at least are reachable or available to as many people as we can. And I did mention premier services. We're very big on that. We try to get the best equipment. We have some vendors that are like, hey, we got this new robotic system coming out. You guys want to try it out? Like, yes, obviously. You had me at robots. I get to do some fun stuff. We are kind of a mid-sized company, so a lot of us at the corporate level, we wear many hats. So as myself being a CIO, I'm also in charge of IT security and our laboratory information system. So it gets quite busy. I have a small team, and we try to be as efficient as we can. And then, offload things to vendors as much as possible when it's their machine not working.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. So we've been around actually for about 20 years, based here in Central Florida. So we're considered, lab experts now. And we're at the point where we're trying to get out there and let the world know, hey, there's other choices for you.
I love it. That's fantastic. Yeah, no, it's tough when you're wearing a bunch of hats and you've got a relatively small team to kind of do it all. But it makes me think that in today's day and age, with the advent of AI, that is that helps a lot of people. I think we've had some developers on where they'd had, what was it, 77 developers working on their platform, and when AI really came out after Chat GPT, and it was really a game changer for them. They went from 77 to 7 in-house, and they were actually more productive with their 7 than they were with their 77 developers, which, I mean, I get it. If you've ever coded, it's kind of like coding before Google versus after Google. So much better to be able to Google, like, what the heck is going on with this? And and now it's like Google on crack for developers, where it's just a whole new game. But I'm kind of curious, from your perspective, in your position now, is AI something that helps you kind of wear more hats and get more done, or is it not quite there yet in terms of kind of the day to day for you?
No, it is super beneficial to my day to day. We look at kind of like the last 50 years of what human tasks have been. There's a lot of manual labor, and you kind of sit there and like, why do I have to do this? Like, are you, this is not why I was created. And now we're at a point where we're like, I don't have to do this because guess what? AI is going to do this for me. Like, and now it's allowed me to implement that and help other departments automate some of their manual tasks too. So that way they're not spending hours, manually updating a spreadsheet. Like I needed AI to write a Python script for me. I do know basic Python. I can read Python and get an idea what it does, but I'm not so good where I can go, hey, I need it to take a spreadsheet, format it, take stuff out of this column, add it to this column, and then create a dictionary. I can't, it would take a lot of time for me on a busy plate already to really get down and essentially be a Python programmer. AI is like, oh, here's the framework for you. Just fill in the variables and then, it's not perfect, but it's 80% there. And so now I'm spending an hour fixing up a Python script instead of spending a full day starting from scratch. And it's the automation prospect for me is the most important. It's taking a lot of mundane tasks and being able to completely automate that is huge.
Yeah. Well, I think I would imagine that a lot of what you're doing there with the labs, you use spreadsheets heavily, right? So
Yeah,
all throughout the organization, not just in kind of finance, but in the operations and everybody
right.
is spreadsheet dependent, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Anytime you need to get something out of an analyzer or an instrument, it's CSV.
CSV all
And
day.
yeah, and that's what you I need a report and you're expecting this nice, beautiful charts, graphs. Nope, it's CSV.
CSV. Yeah. Because why not?
Yeah.
Reminds me of that Dave Chappelle skit. Did you ever see that? The where he's doing the copier one.
Oh,
Oh,
it's been
this
a
is
long
hysterical. I
time.
don't know it.
It's been a
You know
long
what? We
time.
can say whatever we want here, but it's hysterical. It was like it's this play on Kinko's, where he's like he's you gotta see it.
Oh, that's the way he's also the manager too.
He's the manager
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
yeah,
He's like, why do you do this? Because fuck him. That's why.
yeah,
So yeah, why do you give him a CSV? Because
yeah,
fuck him. That's
exactly.
why.
That's why I want to talk to a manager. Can I
I
help
am
you?
the manager.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was great. Um, so yeah, no, totally. So that's super cool. Are there so let's talk AI in healthcare in general, right? I know you actually studied at Stanford University for this very topic. Let's dive into it a little bit. Obviously, not a we don't need a full dissertation, but I think I think AI is really fascinating. I think where it's going is really exciting for everybody. But where do you see it in terms of healthcare?
Yeah, I think right now, a lot of it is leaning toward the data science genre, where it's just analyzing lots of data, and then it's going to give analysis, help predict things. Right now, where I'm seeing most beneficial is there's actually standards by the governments too, state and federal, where they're trying to solve the interoperability of healthcare data, and that's really the biggest holdback for a lot of things. Is you look at the patient life cycle, they go to six different places if they're having an issue, and all six of those places use a completely different medical EHR system. So if you want to look at that patient's journey to see where did we go wrong or how could we have prevented this sooner, how do you get all that in one spot to analyze it? And so it's a combination of legislation of making everybody report things in a uniform fashion,
Yep.
and then AI is going to be able to process that data, millions of data points in seconds.
Yeah.
And now you're going to be able to query the AI agent or whatever it is to say, hey, we have this uptick in statistics that, with hospitalizations, when people leave, they get rehospitalized. Like we need to figure out what is a common denominator on why that keeps happening. And it turns out it's infections. Well, what kind of infection? Well, it's actually this type of infection, a UTI. Let's just say it's a UTI infection. And it's like, okay, great. Now we can know if we can reduce that by, say, 60%, we can reduce rehospitalizations by, 80%, and things like that. So that aspect for AI is where I see things are safely going now. The other thing is kind of more the innovative side where you're going to have AI start making healthcare decisions. And to me, that's where things can like start pumping the brakes. Because I don't think we're quite there yet in the terms of right now when you're analyzing data, it's performance over accuracy. It's
Hmm.
okay if you're only 80% accurate because you're just presenting data.
Yeah.
You're not presenting a fact. Um, but you need that performance. It needs to get done as fast as possible. But when you're going to make a decision that affects a patient's life, accuracy is now like 80% accuracy is not great. You start to view it like, if you look at it as out of 100 patients, 20% die, 20
Yeah.
people are going to die. Like, maybe we don't want to use this platform right now.
Yeah. No,
Uh,
for sure.
but we are getting there. I'm not, I'm going to get into the guy if I like him or not, but Bill Gates said in 10 years, we won't need general providers anymore. They will be replaced by AI. And it's like, okay, well, that notion comes from they're using AI to record doctor sessions with patients. And it'll take the notes, summarize it, and then the doctor will sign off on it and it'll go right into the EHR system. And it's like, okay, so you're training AI based on these conversations. But the problem with that is you're trusting a patient to tell the truth.
Yep.
Well, my chest hurts. How do you know it hurts? I'm not
Yep.
saying they're in there lying, but some people they get inside their head and maybe their symptoms are not really that bad, or maybe they're kind of creating a feeling into a symptom. And then you're getting a misdiagnosis. And then if you're training AI on that, it leads down to the bias, data bias or AI operating under bias. And it's like, okay, well, that's dangerous.
Yeah. No, I mean I think it's a pretty widely known expression, between doctors is how do you know if a patient is lying?
Yeah.
Yeah, their
Their
lips are
mouth is
moving.
moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just mostly because it's so funny. There's so much psychology in it, in them, one, just forgetting things. So you take a patient, the medical history, and they forgot about a number of things, or you're simply they forgot that, or they didn't think it was relevant. They didn't understand the question completely. So what you're getting is not, accurate data from the patient. And I think interestingly, I think right now AI is a super good autocomplete, right? I mean, that's really what it is at the basic level, the way it's piecing things together. It's the world's greatest, most impressive autocomplete. And great. There's not this deep understanding that it appears like it understands. It looks like it really gets it. And I think it's going to get there, but we're not there yet. And I'm not sure that we fully understand how the brain works to the level of being able to say, oh, well, let's recreate that. Recreate what? We don't get it, right? So it's
Yeah.
really hard to recreate something that we don't fully understand. We can mimic it, and that's really what AI is doing right now. It's kind of mimicking it. So I think, Bill Gates saying that 10 years from now it's just going to be all automated. I don't know that that's really feasible. I mean, could we get there? Maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
but it's not based off of what we've got now, and there's a lot of assumptions that everything's going to go right, and that we'll get to some sort of Gen AI level in that time frame. If that's the case, then quite possibly, right? Once you've got that Gen AI, well, that's next level. Now we're talking about you've got all the information in the world, you understand it all. Yeah, I want that person deciding what's going on with my health. They've seen every X-ray ever done, and they're an expert at analyzing them. Yeah, tell me what my X-ray says, doc. That's the one
Right.
you want, right? They're incredible, but we're not there yet, right? And
No, we're
I,
not.
I don't know. Do you think we'll get there?
I do. I think I do. And I see the current situation as good and bad. We're kind of doing this all in, both feet in the swimming pool approach to AI. And businesses are looking at it as optimization, cost savings, and they're not caring about the negative impacts it could have. But on the flip side, that kind of brute force method is also going to be pushing AI faster to evolve faster to meet the needs. So it's kind of a double-edged sword there where you got one, it's like, okay, this is bad, but at the same time, it may actually improve AI faster. So it actually kind of solves itself a little bit. But when I look at it as, I think we keep looking at it as a man versus machine ideology, where it's us versus AI. And I think that is going to create a negative environment where we think that's what it's going to be. That's their future. It's us versus them. When in reality, it really shouldn't. It's going to be us with them.
Yep.
They're going to be a tool. They're going to be, they're going to be our Jarvis, helping us build a satellite in our garage.
Yep.
With some hand tools. Like I'm not an electrical engineer, and AI's me like, that's cool, I am.
Yep.
Put that screw there and solder that wire
Yep.
and press that button. Uh, so the future of it is going to be, can we create medical devices advanced enough that will just send raw natural data to the AI to analyze instead of relying on cognitive responses from a patient to train and assess it. And I think that's the path we'll have to go, is kind of removing the human element out of it a little bit and creating accurate devices that will interact with AI to be able to accurately diagnose a patient. And I think that is where it'll really excel in the future, rather than, well, I was trained on 15 years of this patient saying his head hurts, because
Yep.
he was out in the sun too long. So we gave him we prescribed him Motrin.
Yep.
It's like, so yeah, I think we'll get there. I just think it'll be different. I think it has to be different too.
Well, as long as we're on that topic, how do you see that playing out? So let's say we get to that level in 10, 15 years. What's that mean, when it's us with them? Is it an us with them? Once there's that Gen AI and there's you stick that in robots and they're now able to do everything. Where does that put the the human worker?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's really going to be industry based on the industry. Because at the end of the day, a patient is still a human being, and they may not want a robot servicing them. So if there's a hospital that's like, oh, you all use robots, and they may not get any patients.
Right?
They may not want to go there. Whereas if you have a robot show up to your house to cut your grass, what do you care?
Yeah.
They're cutting your lawn. Who cares? It's a
Yep.
robot. Awesome. I don't have to do it.
Yep.
So I think it'll be industry specific and based on our wants,
Yeah.
and I think that's important, that we do have the power to kind of decide whether we realize that or not. Some companies may force it on us, but it's really up to us if we truly want that to be our lifestyle. Do we want to live like Wall-E, where we're just sitting in a
Yep.
hovercraft chair and we're just by the pool all day? We have no meaningful life and we're just staring at the stars.
Yep. Yeah, I think about that all the time. It's surprisingly that exact, scene in Wally. And, anytime this comes up and I don't think it goes that path. And not I think that what happens is, first of all, I don't think we ever want to see a robot performing Shakespeare on stage or singing. It's like that doesn't even
The
make
point.
sense. Like, what's the
Yeah.
point? So what? Right? So I think it actually is going to have like this it's going to be a boom for artists and creators and the artisans, the craftsmen, people who actually build things. I mean, for instance, I love watches, and there's no way that, yeah, there will be lots of cheap watches. There currently are cheap watches, right? So it doesn't even make sense. I don't want to buy a luxury watch made by a robot. I don't want to go to to see Shakespeare or or a play or a concert performed by a robot. It takes the soul right out of it. Like, what's the
Yeah.
point? So I think, interestingly enough, all these kids growing up being like, I want to be an influencer. Interestingly, that's going to be a really big job. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not just going to be like, oh, you're going to be one of a handful. I think there are going to be tons of influencers. I think that blows up even more than Hollywood ever did. And you're going to have a ton of people who are, yeah, influencers and artists and you name it. I, but I think
I
you're,
totally agree with that. Look at golf. I love golf. Look at YouTube golf. YouTube golf almost gets more views than the PGA now.
yeah,
And it's because it's exciting. It's more down to earth. It's
yep,
more relatable to the audience. And I absolutely agree with that. A robot hit a high note. Of course it did. It's
yeah,
a robot.
yeah,
Let me see a person do that?
yep, yeah. You're going to want to see a robot, get a hole in one. Like,
Yeah.
what,
Has
what,
a perfect swing every single time.
yeah. That's like I don't care, right? Nobody's gonna care. But you're right, and it's so funny. I'm glad you said that about YouTube golf because I recently got back into golf, and I find myself watching these YouTube golf, and I'm like, it's just like you're there with them on the course, and they're like talking shit and having a good time, and
Yeah.
they're like, it's great. It's fantastic, and it's more entertaining than PGA. It's great to see the pros, right? Don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
but I didn't even realize that that there would be so many views that it's got to be getting close, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's like two people I've just stumbled upon, and I'm like, oh, this is super cool watching them play golf, and it's like it's impressive how it just sucks you right into you're there on the course with them. It's
Yep.
fun.
And then
Yep,
I like the collabs they're doing. You got like five really top channels, and now they're all golfing together, and it's like, very fun. They're joking each other. There's like, controversy coming out of it. It's awesome. You don't
that's
get to
great.
see that in the PGA.
I'm gonna have to get your list of the ones that you watch because right now
Oh,
like I just
absolutely.
stumbled into a couple of them, and so I'm looking forward to that.
I'll get you the good ones,
That
the
good.
fun ones.
Love it. Yeah, no, I think, it's really interesting. So I think the future is going to be, I don't think we're going to have that Wall-E future because there's no joy in it. I mean, I get that like right now there's this, for a lot of people, you think about it, you get to grow up, if you grow up in the United States and you don't even have to be, wealthy, even the kind of the working poor, like the lower, lower income to even the middle incomes to high earners, they're kids growing up who they live like gods, right? I mean, in air conditioned environments, they get to push a button and food shows up. They don't have to struggle to eat and survive. So the idea of, hey, you know what, I'm just going to play video games because video games are really fun, and it kind of sucks people into that world of video games and stuff. And okay, I get where you could have this future of people just putting on virtual reality goggles and living in this, but it's not fulfilling, right? I mean, like at
Yeah.
some point it's just like, oh, enough already, right? And what's really interesting is people take that same perspective on work, but even work, you know, the, you could take the perspective of, oh, I just work to get by, but for most people, you're actually doing good. I mean, look at what you guys do, right? What
Yeah.
happens if the world has no labs, and they can't test that's crazy. You're
Hmm.
part of saving lives, making people's lives
Right.
better. So every day, no matter who's in the company, even if it's just somebody delivering the mail, they're helping save lives. If the mail didn't get delivered, if the lab's not there, then the tests don't get run and shit, yeah, right? And so
Yeah.
I think every job has got, that, some level of purpose that it gives people, right? Even if you're in a factory making rubber gloves, the rubber gloves end up saving lives. Like whatever it
Right.
is, people need clothes, right? Now, obviously, there are extremes to this where we're not talking about like the kids in these sweatshops and stuff making, right, making your
Yeah.
Nikes for 2 cents a day, and they're being, not
Yeah.
that. But I think work in general gives people, a reason to get up and move and everything. And then you can do work on those things like whether it's, helping others or your spirituality, whatever it is, but the higher level things in life, but it takes care of those survival needs and gives us a purpose beyond just surviving, which in today's day and age, it's very easy just to survive. You don't need we've got a lot of modern comforts, right? So
Hmm.
I, I don't think we go to a Wally world, but what do you,
I don't think so either. It's
okay.
like, it's not in our human nature. It's just who we are. Like why do we have hockey players? I grew up playing hockey. Why would you want to skate and throw yourself to the boards and risk yourself getting injured every single game? Because it was fun. It was like I enjoyed that. I'm not going to want to sit in a chair and have no, like you said, no purpose. Like people choose jobs and for multiple reasons. Some do it for money and some do it for a sense of purpose. Cybersecurity is a great industry where people chose it mostly because they wanted to save people or protect something and they get fulfillment out of it. And if you take that away, what are they going to do? They're going to do something else. They're going to fill that void doing something else.
Yep. No, it's true. And it's so funny because like when I started Cyberlinks now 15 years ago, it was, after I'd been in the army, and I didn't realize that I grew up poor, so I joined the army to kind of, make my way in the world. And I didn't realize how much I loved the purpose, the mission of the army, until I got out and I started Cyberlinks. And then it took me maybe, I don't know, 8 years, 10 years before I realized the thing that I loved about Cyberlinks was that we were doing the same thing. We were extending that mission. We went from kind of, serving and protecting, the United States from all enemies, foreign and domestic, to now we were doing that in real life, and it gave me all this purpose, and I loved it, right? So we
Hmm.
were helping these small businesses, and we're keeping them safe, keeping them productive, doing all and it was really fulfilling, and it is, right? But it gave me that purpose. And I think you're right. If that all went away and it was like, oh, what are you going to do now? It's got to be something else, right? There's
Yeah.
no just like, oh, I guess I'm going to, get my recliner and have the robots serve me all day. Like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
totally agree. I think,
Aliens might see that team and be like, all right, they're finally ready for an invasion, you know?
you're right.
We're worried about Skynet. We should be worried about, the galactic war coming our way.
I love it. That's fantastic. Oh, geez, that's great. Um, yeah, I don't know where we go from here. Oh, I know where we go from here. Um, you've got a book coming out, don't
I
you?
do. I do. Yeah, it's called The Art of Defense. And it's funny that you kind of mentioned psychology about, kind of finding a sense of purpose in your work. My book is actually written on four pillars, commitment, work ethic, strategic thinking, but the number one and most important is mentality.
Mm.
And I actually use a psychological study that was performed that actually shows when you're kind of in doing a mundane work and it's a tedious task, you don't enjoy it at first, but you realize the sense of purpose you're getting of doing the job, you actually do kind of enjoy it. Like it triggers something in your brain that goes, okay, we're in the zone. Let's get it done. And you
Yes.
feel that sense of purpose is what kind of drives you to read through event viewer logs to find a breach or, an indicator of an attack. So it's really interesting. So I really didn't want to do like a how-to book or a motivational book. I really wanted to dig deep into human psychology. And I used psychology studies to back every single pillar. And I was really important to me because of AI being the top topic. I feel like we're counting humans out. And some of the things that starts off with, my time as a hockey player, and also chess. I'm not necessarily a lover of chess, but I got forced into chess at a young age because I got in trouble, and they were like, "Hey, we're not going to call your parents and make you pay for the damage. How about if you work in chess club as the assistant? You'll work the rest of the year and you'll pay off the computer damage." I'm like, "All right, cool." So I became an assistant in chess club. And
Nice.
lo and behold, I actually kind of like chess. It was kind of cool reading about strategy and doing things like that. But that was really like the first job to get replaced by it was chess. They built, that crazy chess master computer, and it actually
Yep.
lost its first round, the first year, it
Yep.
lost against a chess grandmaster. And then next year it won a controversial win. I don't need to get into that. But what's interesting enough, though, is what made that computer so great. Yes, it could process, millions and tens of millions possibilities in seconds. It was still taught by a human being how to play chess.
Yep.
It was taught by a grandmaster chess player on opening moves, strategies, things like that. It took a human to make it great. And that's what I really loved about my book. And so my capstone chapter is actually all about, I call it the Sentinel Nexus. And that's about taking the human defender, combining it with AI, and creating this perfect convergence where you now have a fusion, a working relationship rather than this man versus machine, um, cliche that, Hollywood and media loves to portray. But in reality, kind of what we've been talking about, that is what's going to propel human innovation is creating that symbiotic relationship. And yes, there are security concerns. There's things that make you want to pause the brakes. It's security still, so trust but verify.
Yep.
Uh, but there's things that we cannot do, like process millions of lines of code in seconds. We can't do that. So why would we even try? Why would
Yep.
we even commit ourselves to doing that when we can focus on the ethics, the morals of the way we want our society to be? And I call it the compass and the engine. So, we're the compass, we're guiding, AI is the engine, and we're guiding it, when we're telling it what to do, based on our morals and ethics.
No,
And I think
I love
that's
that.
really important.
No, I love that because I think that that's such a great example, using AI, like you mentioned earlier, the going through the event logs. That takes forever. I mean, we're just not good at it. It's like, are you going to do the math, are you going to do the math or
Yeah,
have the computer do the math? Obviously, the computer, right? And
right,
so AI can go through, millions of events instantaneously and be like, yep, this is what you're looking for. So much better. So I think, having that symbiotic relationship, where AI is, is the wait, you said the compass and the
the
what?
compass of the machine.
And the machine is the
Yeah, or
machine,
the
the
engine.
engine. Yeah, there you go. The
Yeah,
compass and the engine. Yeah. I think that's brilliant because that's really what it is. I mean, I think for the foreseeable future, for the, at least in the near term, that's where we're at. We're at this can supercharge you and be powerful. You can't just let it go off on its own, but boy, can it really help get stuff done when used correctly, right?
right.
Like your Python example, the event logs. I mean, these things, it's just so good at it, right? And I think on the cyber side, when it comes to the logs that you have to be going through, they're just, it's so much better than just setting up filters and say, hey, when this happens, alert me when you see this particular log. Okay, that's like level one stuff. So much
Yeah,
better to have AI looking through everything and be like, well, this is weird. And then alerting you of something, because now the bad guys are using AI and the bad guys are so much better than they ever were. So it's not like
hmm,
you can set up a filter to filter, for their innovation, right? So
right.
you've got to be using AI to catch their new and creative way of getting in. So I think the compass and the engine's a great one. So when does your book come out?
So I'm hoping target date of August 22nd. I
August
don't know
20.
why that date is sweet to me, but that's a date in my head. Like that's when it's gonna come out.
I love it. And I'm assuming people can get it. Will be able to get it on Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon. Yep, I always publish through Amazon. I have been, I wrote my first book, excuse me, in high school.
Oh,
And I actually used a company out of Maryland. They got famous because a couple guys made a hockey documentary that made $1 million. So I started using them, and oddly enough, Amazon bought them, and that's
huh.
how Amazon Publishing came to existence. They actually bought that company, and something really cool and unexpected is they kept all the book manufacturing in Maryland. They didn't
Hmm.
close the plant and move it overseas. They left it open. Um, so that
Cool.
was really cool. So yeah, I've been self-publishing all of my works through Amazon.
Fantastic. Um, Well, that's great. So I suppose that's an easy one to find, and we'll certainly link it. And maybe when it comes back out, we'll have you back on the show, and we'll discuss just the book. We can do a book episode.
Yeah,
That'd be
that'd be
great.
really cool.
Fantastic. Nick, before we go, it's been great having you on. But before we go, can you tell everybody where they can find out more about you and more about Vista Clinical Laboratory?
Yeah, LinkedIn is a great place for me. I'm on LinkedIn at least daily. And then also I do have a website called DeMeoSecurity.com. It's nothing special. It was to kind of just do some blogging and put out some information.
Nice.
And obviously Vista Clinical, we have our website, vista-clinical.com. That's something I'm also helping with too, is start creating white papers on labs and for like specific lab testing to show the benefits of using modern testing versus, the deprecated testing. And that's something I'm helping out too with kind of correlating those, that the difference is to help, we're trying to move forward too as a lab, but we also need everybody else to update their methodology too, to catch up and show why one is better than the other.
I love it. Nick, thanks again for coming on. Until next time.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You have a great day.
You too.
Thanks for listening to the Cyber Business Podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.